We're going to be ranking our Spider-Man movies. And before we dive into this, man, I just want to say we're going to make a lot of you guys really mad. And just know this is our ranking. This is our view. I don't know about Brayden, but I at least base this off of entertainment value. This is not how much I'm like, oh, this is the best made Spider-Man movie. This is just based off pure entertainment. Mixed with a little bit of, if it's obviously poorly made, that goes into the entertainment value. So
I got you, baby.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm not failing you, Logan. You're
Thank
gonna
you,
fuck with
man.
my list, baby.
Yes, baby. I'm curious to see how you said yours is very controversial. I think mine's a little controversial, but it's not bad.
Let's get into it, man. I honestly, because I really want to hear your number 10.
My number 10 is going to be The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No.
All right. There we go. There we go. Now, I'm going to start off by saying this. This movie's not as bad as people say. Some people say it's so unbearable. No, it's not. Dude, every Spider-Man movie is so much fun to watch. And this movie had so much potential.
Can I tell you something?
Tell me, baby.
I've never had a movie make me feel like this when I saw Gwen Stacy die and leaving the theater. I resonated and sat on it for 3 days. It took me a full 3 days to stop Joe. Like, I went with Joe. And for 3 days, bro, he was like, dude, give up. It's done. She's dead. Bro, I'm going into the comics finding out that Gwen Stacy was revived and she was going to come back in the third movie.
Yeah. I think she was going to, though. I think that's actually where they were going to go with it, by the way, because there was going to be the third movie. And I remember them mentioning something about that. But maybe not. Maybe I'm just saying stuff. But I'm giving you hope, man. But no, that death.
I actually pretty liked the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And
just when you look at all the other ones.
They're just too. Yeah, there's way better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gwen Stacy's death, seeing Emma Stone die, it's like, Emma Stone, bro. Emma Stone.
Baby.
Yeah, no, that, and just the sound, the poof, you hear like that little like squish sound when she hits, and it's like, oh, dude. I remember seeing that for the first time too, man, and just I didn't see it in theater, but I remember watching it for the first time and being like, whoa, like it was just me and some of my friends.
Expect it from that movie,
and I can only imagine the environment in the theater. Everybody was probably like, what the hell?
Yeah,
if there was anybody still in there.
Just you hear that, and it was just like,
yeah. You got Hans Zimmer's score over it. Yeah. And that's what I love about this film, by the way. There's actually a lot I really like about it. I guess we could talk about the stuff that we don't like since we're kind of on that side of things. It's going to be a long list. I didn't mind Electro too much. I thought the blue was actually really cool. I know in the comics he's yellow. Or he has like the yellow stuff, and he looks way different. He actually made his entire body blue and stuff. I liked it though. I thought it worked really well. Jamie Foxx is a great actor. This is not his best performance. I thought the writing for it wasn't the best.
It's terrible.
His dialogue was not there. His little one-liners.
It wasn't him that was wrong with Electro. It was just how they wrote Electro. You know.
There's nothing wrong with Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Dude,
I even agree with the blue
so
thing.
talented.
It's just like how they wrote his character, like it's fucking
very
weird.
cringy.
Yeah,
and it was just it was very hard to watch.
Guy.
No.
And like they could have made him nerdy, but like they made him like a weird nerd. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't work well. It didn't work well, and I think just the tone of the movie in general just was very. It didn't take itself seriously. It didn't take itself seriously at all. I thought the first Amazing Spider-Man, which we'll get to in a little bit, was really well balanced between seriousness and then kind of like comedy, you know. And we'll get into that in a little bit because I have a lot to say, but. This movie just really leaned into the comedy way too much when there's a serious storyline with Gwen Stacy's dad, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And there's so much potential there, and then they just get away from it, and they get the deleted scene at the end. Remember the credit scene? And yes, you had so much potential to really play this more of a serious tone, and you just didn't do it because I don't know why they didn't do it, dude. It made no sense. Maybe because people like the more comedic element of the first Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
It was weird.
A lot of people I know thought it was too dark. You know what I mean? Like the first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I liked it.
Like compared to Tobey Maguire, who's like a freaking nerd, going to like some bad boy skater. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not
right.
dark, just like. Bad boy Spider-Man, you know what I mean? Maybe they tried to make him seem more like not like a dork, but you know.
Yeah. I feel you. Yeah.
I'm the fun guy.
Yeah. No, I feel
not
that.
The cool guy.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It was just the tone just fell off to me, and then I
definitely agree with you.
Another thing, I didn't mind the Green Goblin. I like it. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't the greatest, and it wouldn't be the choice that I would have made. But I thought Dan, I believe his name is. I thought he did a good job, and I didn't mind it.
I'm right there. I mean, I probably liked it a little less, but like it's just it was there.
Yeah.
I probably liked Electro a bit more, but he didn't do a bad performance. I just don't like how they set his character up the whole time, and like how James Franco's character was put into it, or like even his dad, like William Dafoe's. They both, I feel like, at least it gatewayed so much better than his.
100%. No,
but his didn't. But his wasn't bad, It just didn't gateway the right way.
No, this one's don't even compare it to those two. It's not even the same arena.
You talk about the potential, and it's like when I think about this, like this could have been a potentially like top 3 Spider-Man movie if it was done the right way. Probably, man. Probably
the best,
maybe
the best web slinging, some of the best visuals, one of the best suits. I love the suit. It's one of the best casts if you think about it. The cast is incredible. You have Hans Zimmer on the score. Even though I'm not a big fan of like the Spider-Man theme, I thought it fit the Spider-Man very well.
Spider-Man.
But like if I was, but if I was gonna rank all the Spider-Man themes, this would probably be on the lower end. A lot of people really like the Spider-Man theme, but that Hans Zimmer did, but it just wasn't my
cup of tea.
Yeah, it wasn't really my go-to.
Yeah,
I would pick most of the others over it, but no, just the potential is there, man. Really good people surrounding it.
Yeah, but I have to say I pretty much agree with you. I don't think it's as bad as people think it is.
No.
Just the other good. I feel like a lot of the other ones are just better. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I'm with you. Is there anything else we want to talk about that? No.
I think so.
Number 9. Brayden, I'll let you go.
You want me to go?
You go.
Oh no. Controversy. Okay, and I'm gonna say why this is my number 9. It's Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Oh my God! What are you doing? Why? Come on.
Why Spider-Man: Homecoming is at my number 9 is because I don't think I've seen it.
What?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it. Seen like the top 10 Watch Mojo, or not Watch Mojo, like Fandango clips. Never seen the full thing. I've seen both of the other ones. Never seen the full thing through.
You need to watch it.
So it felt wrong of me to try and like I could not put. I was gonna switch with Far From Home, but like I don't know what I would talk about with you. Like I love Michael Keaton as Vulture. Like his scenes were amazing. I love the prom scene. I think it's a really cool aspect, and like Zendaya's dad's like kind of like a stickler. Yeah, but like that's really all I remember. Like I've never really seen much more of it. Because from what I've heard, Homecoming's better than Far From Home. But I just personally, for me, you get me. I can't.
No, I've been in that same position before. No, I had no idea, dude. That's wild.
So truly, like, would it probably be at my number 9? No, but like I just haven't seen it, so it wouldn't be fair to me.
No,
but from what I've seen, I know I would like it better than Amazing Spider-Man do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one's pretty high up on my list.
Yeah.
My number 9 is gonna piss a lot of people off.
Oh,
this is my most controversial out of my entire list, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You might not like. I think you know it, but I'm gonna go into the Spider-Verse for my number 9. I just once again,
it's not a bad pick.
Yeah,
that's all I'll say.
I'm someone who I prefer when I watch a Spider-Man movie. I watch Spider-Man to see a live-action version of Spider-Man. I just do. For the main reason of I can connect with the character more. Don't get me wrong. The animation in this movie is incredible. I'm
going to say this.
Yeah,
my number 8 is Into the Spider-Verse. So I'll jump in with this.
That
would be my next one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'll go next. So yeah.
Yeah, dive with
That's
me.
why I said it's not a bad pick. I have it.
Yeah.
It probably would be number 9 if I watched Homecoming.
No, I feel you. It's so well done, dude. I mean, it's an incredible film. The visuals. It's one of the best made Spider-Man movies. The soundtrack.
Even the cast.
The cast, bro. It's incredible.
But this is why I like you, because like I have all my friends who are like, the Spider-Man movie, it was the best animation movie ever. And I've never had the one guy that just sit there with me and be like, it was just a good movie.
Yeah.
It was a good movie. I'm not shitting on it, but it's nothing like.
Also, it's not our
craze about.
Yeah, it's not our style of animation either. We're into the more like crisp stuff like Moana, Pixar.
Zootopia.
Yeah, Zootopia, Sing. This was more of a comic book feel, and I'm not saying it's bad. It fit it very well. I'm just saying it's
It's a
not my
personal
cup
thing.
of tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not what I'm gonna look at for 2.5 hours. You know what I mean?
No,
Maybe I could look at
absolutely.
it. Maybe like the Amazing Spider-Man TV show. I grew up watching that one, like the little animated one. Those were
Hmm.
like 20-minute episodes, and you could sit there and watch them. This, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes of watching it, and it's kind of like, or two
Yeah.
hours of watching. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. It's too much for me.
I agree. And when I never really wanted to watch it. And when I did, I really did enjoy the film, but it was never like, maybe it's the type of thing like people overhyped it for me. Like
Mm,
I watched it and I just was like, it was supposed to be the best movie ever in my, from everyone else's I heard in my friend group, and it just wasn't. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So I was just always kind of like, man,
yeah.
it's not a bad movie by any means. Like I
You're
can't
just trying to be
again.
different, bro. You're just trying to be different, man.
You're fucking different, bro. To be honest with you, I can't even think of a negative from the movie. It's very much like the second one. Like it's probably something small. You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
it's yeah. It's all
I
about
don't like how Peter
perspective.
Parker's almost died, or he's not the main
Yeah,
character. I thought, you know what I mean? Some
yeah,
stupid thing like that. But it was a good movie. It's just
yeah,
not my cup of tea either.
yeah. It was basically everything we talked about into the like about like Across the Spider Verse. Just Across Spider Verse did everything better.
Yes, 100%. It is very much like Star
Yeah,
Wars Jedi. I mean, like,
yeah,
I don't know if I would say this. Well, at least maybe I will take the story away, but the game mechanics and how everything feels is just better. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Mm,
Yeah.
100%.
So I'm in total agreement.
Um, my next one is Far From Home. This is a Spider-Man movie that is not a Spider-Man movie. It's just not. I like. Don't get me wrong. This was very hard. I was back and forth between Into the Spider-Verse and Far From Home. I was gonna flip it. I really was, but there's some really good moments in Far From Home, like Jake Gyllenhaal.
So, can we talk?
Yes.
It's my number 7. Dude, this is fucking weird.
We're just going up. This is great. That's what I thought too. I was like, wait, he's doing something.
See
What
me?
is
I'm
he
like
looking
looking
at?
down. I'm like,
Yeah, wait a second. Hold up, hold up.
no way.
Yeah. That's yeah. So let's talk about it together again. We might as well do it.
Because you know what's funny? I had Homecoming or I had Far From Home and Homecoming like next to each other at one point before I was switching it around. I was like, I had Homecoming at number 6 or number 7, and I was like, I haven't seen it. I don't know what I'll fucking say. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So
yeah.
I switched it.
Dude, we're like right on with each other. This is a lot.
I
This
know
is
this is
weird.
weird. This is actually really
Now
weird,
we're gonna
dude.
get very different though up here. I think this is where we're really gonna start
You
changing it
think
up.
so?
Oh, 100%. Like just
All
take
right.
it in right now because we're about to get a little angry up in here.
All
We need
right.
some Red Bulls, baby.
Yeah, this is your number 8, my number 7, right? Yes.
Yes. So yeah, Far From Home. It's just not a Spider-Man movie. It's not. It doesn't take place in Queens, and I'm not saying it has to take place in New York, but it just at least keep the vibe there. It's not the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man anymore. He's trying to be Iron Man.
Hmm.
The suits they built it up to be this cool thing. It's kind of underwhelming. Yeah, it's just and don't get, I like the black suit, not the all black suit, not the stealth one, but the one with like the black like under thing where like the blue is. That's pretty
Yes.
cool. I like the blue and red one a lot better because I'm more of like a traditional kind of guy,
I
but
am
I
too,
do
dude. When
like
I
it.
played the game, I always played like Tobey Maguire's skin when I could,
Same
bro. I
here,
don't know
same
why.
here. I
Like,
do the same
or
thing.
Andrews.
Yep, I do the same exact thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
They look better than all the cool weird ones in my opinion because it's
Yeah,
nostalgic,
100%.
you
Or
know.
like, I even like the one with the flame on his head, but it just was like, dude, that's like fucking Ghost Rider swinging
Yeah,
around.
yeah, yeah. No, I feel that. But yeah, no, and I'm trying to think of one more thing before I'll let you go on your rant.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, just it didn't feel like a Spider-Man movie, and I do like the dynamic between Zendaya and Spider-Man. I really like I said, Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio, one of the best villains we've ever seen, Spider-Man villains. I would maybe top 6, top 7, maybe top 8. I really enjoyed him. I thought he did a really, really good job in this. I thought he was the only good part about this film. And the fight scenes are really cool. I like the action sequences, but other than that,
The thing is, I totally agree. It's in the sense of I feel like this movie doesn't have a lot of negatives. I feel like the fact that it's set in London is just kind of weird. Like like you said, it's not Spider-Man, and I feel like because like you said, I very much agree with what you said actually. Um, Jake Gyllenhaal and Tom Holland have this really good chemistry, and I even really like how they brought Nick Fury involved, and you know how he was like, dude. you need to get here. You need to get here. You know what I mean? They finally all meet up, and he's introduced as this like celestial god, basically, like Jake Gyllenhaal, Mysterio.
Yep.
He can travel the worlds, and he's so good. He's the answer to all our problems. And then you find out that he's just a nut. You know what I mean? And he's
Sure.
freaking here to destroy the world and all that. And I love that. It was our first time I really felt like we saw Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man, like vulnerable like that, in a position where he overcame that high school child in him died in that movie. You know what I mean? Where he's at the end, he's bleeding, and where he was invisible and he's got him like at the neck. Like that's where Spider-Man clicked, I feel like. And that was like the first shift for him, emotional
Hmm.
shift.
Sure.
And then with the setup at the end, I think it's one of the coolest like things at the end. And then his face pops up over, and you're like sitting, you're like, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
Peter!
No, that was a
But
really
that's
solid ending.
but besides that, I agree with you, man. Like it is a bit underwhelming. And even from the clips I've seen in Homecoming, I really like how, in a way, Vulture seems a little more present than Mysterio does. You know what I mean? Whereas Mysterio, I feel like relies on a lot of elemental things around him, regardless if it's like robotics or whatever it is. Vulture just felt present, and especially with being, the dad and like all that, it
Yeah.
just felt more present.
Very
Is the best way I can
grounded,
say
a
it.
way more
Yes,
grounded villain. Like you said, felt like a good superhero and supervillain dynamic. You don't feel
yes.
that as much with the Mysterio thing, because,
Because we got to
like
see
you
them
said,
as
he's not who he
people
truly
and
is.
villains.
Right, right,
Maybe I
right.
could have put this higher. I know some stuff about it.
Yeah,
Fandango
no,
did me right.
no, that's true. But you're right though. You definitely need to watch it
Yeah,
though. Definitely check it
yeah,
out. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say though for Far From Home. It's just not a Spider-Man movie. People love this movie. People put it way up. It's just not my favorite,
yeah.
personally.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Um. So was this? This is my seventh one.
This would
Is
be, yeah, because that was my seventh.
is the Amazing Spider-Man.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. This is. I know you like these movies a little bit more. I
Hmm.
like the Amazing Spider-Man. I think this is a
Yeah,
really good film. I think it's awesome. I think the suit is one of the coolest suits. I think it's really mysterious. That's what I love about this movie. It's so dark, bro, and it gets me hyped. But at the same
yes.
time, and this is what the Amazing Spider-Man 2 couldn't do. And I need to watch this movie again, dude, because it gets me so hyped talking about it. Is they balance the darkness of reality and the darkness of the city of New York and Queens
Yeah.
and the vigilante aspect of Peter Parker and
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man,
Yeah.
but he balances the comedy so well, and that's what's missing from the Tobey Maguire movies.
Ooh,
You know what I
got you there.
mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And even in the car, like in the scene in the car when they close the door and you just see his eyes, kind of glimmering in the back seat, and
He's
he's just
just
talking
chilling.
to him.
He's
Yeah,
just
dude,
sitting
it's
there.
it's so good, man.
Hey
And the
guys.
suit, bro, the suit's so dope. It is
Yeah.
so dope. I'm not the biggest fan of the eyes, but the big the Spider-Man that goes all the way down, the big spider on his chest looks
Yeah.
so clean,
Yeah. He's
so
got one of the
good.
best suits.
And the colors just pop
Maybe the
out more at
best. I
you.
don't
You know
know.
what I mean? It's definitely one of the best. I'm more of a Tobey Maguire
Toby
guy,
guy.
but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Toby's
Come
got the
on.
name.
But it's still really well done, and I love how the colors almost look like they're wet. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like
blending.
popping, yeah, like they're popping out
Yeah.
at you. And I
Yes.
really like that aspect
His
to it.
blue is really blue.
Yeah, and also I think
His
it
red
has
is
one
really
of the.
red.
Oh yeah, my favorite part, baby. And you see like the spider webs that are along the suit really well because they kind of shine
Yes.
really
Yeah.
well. I think it's like a black material that looks really good. It's not the white, which is really interesting. And I really enjoyed that. And I think it has
Mhm.
one of the best. Like I said, the swinging, all that's really cool. One of the best suit reveals when he's at the
Yeah.
POV and he lands on the building like this, and you see him looking at his reflection. So
So
clean,
cool.
dude. It is such a unique idea, and it
Yeah,
just fits so
man.
well. The
Is that the one
sound
where
of
he
the web
slingshots
shooters.
from the crane at the end? Is that the one, or is that the second? I think that's the first one.
I think it is the first one.
Because the second one he fights Rhino at the end. Yeah. You remember
Yeah,
he's like, "Tss, tss," and he like pulls
you're
himself
right.
back and like, dude,
So clean.
hardest thing
So
ever,
clean.
dude. So
So clean.
hard.
And then the lizard was a really solid villain. I didn't
Villain.
love him, but I
Oh,
think he's
dude.
he's a very very good.
He's a top. He probably beats Mysterio for me as a villain.
I'd have to watch it again. They're very neck and neck for me.
It's fair.
He's more like you said, he's more grounded as a villain. I do like that from the
Yeah.
Lizard. I do like
Yeah.
that from the Lizard. I just like the character of Mysterio. I think he's more interesting
More.
than the
He
Lizard.
is.
You know, does that
They
make
shouldn't have
sense?
taken him out, and that's a big problem too. They shouldn't have. I understand, but they shouldn't have taken him out in that one. You know what I mean? He should
Yeah,
have had a lingering presence.
yeah, yeah. I think that's what it is. I like the Mysterio character or villain or character better, but I like how they went about the Lizard a little bit more.
No, I
So
totally get that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel that. I feel that. But overall, really like it. Really solid film. I know you're gonna have fun talking about it in a little bit, but yeah, I
Oh
love
yeah.
this movie. I think it's really good. And then what number is your next one? Do I have another one I gotta say, or is it? What do you
No,
want
this
now?
one's my number. Well, I that was my number 7 was Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Now you're under 6.
Yes,
Okay,
my number 6. It is Spider-Man 3.
I expected that. I knew
By any
that.
means, is this a bad film? No. I hate people that say this is a bad movie. Like to say it's like a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. There's good moments in this freaking movie, man. I love all the villains being in it. I honestly think this is like one of my favorite performances of Sandman. And I'm really not like a huge Sandman guy, but like back in the day, I used to love Sandman, bro. Like they did him so right.
You
They did
kind of
my boy
had
right,
you kind of look like a Sandman right now, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
dude.
Hold up now.
They did
Hey,
my boy right. They did my boy right, and I
they
loved
definitely
him
did.
when he came back. I
Thomas
honestly
Hill
wish they.
or Thomas Hayden Church, right?
I'm not sure actually.
Thomas
Maybe
Hayden
someone
Church,
knows
I
me.
think his name. Let me look him up.
But you know what upsets? Like I love No Way Home. You'll hear about it in a while, but I wish they gave him a little bit more lines, man. He had like a decent part, but he was like angry the whole time. He didn't understand. You know what I mean? I didn't like that. Like
Yeah,
I think that's yeah. I don't know. I just love how the third movie wrapped so well, and it's crazy to think that they were going to make a Spider-Man 4. Like they had Tobey Maguire in talks with the fourth
and
one.
the Vulture, bro,
Yeah, bro.
and the
And
Chameleon, the
that
guy I
was such a good
want.
one. Such a freaking good movie. Um,
Him
yeah, I
dealing
mean,
with the grief of losing Harry. Oh my god.
yes, exactly. He
Oh.
lost Harry. Sandman
Yeah.
was gone.
Yep.
You know, I'm trying to think of everything. I really loved his conversion to like the not like the symbiote, but like I guess a symbiote type stuff. You know what I mean? Where yeah. People think that's cringy, but like he has to be completely different. And Tobey Maguire, you know, I guess at that point he wasn't playing like a douche. You know, Peter Parker
Yeah.
still wasn't a douche. He just got that cockiness and you know
Yeah.
what I mean? He's Spider-Man. He probably
Uh,
walking around thinking he's Spider-Man.
I think it's cringy as hell, but I love it for it. I love
It
the
is.
cheesiness of it.
It is because it's
Yeah.
like that's the thing. He's not a cool guy. He's just he thinks he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's why for me it's like realistic because he's not just gonna change. It's not gonna like, oh, he's a whole new person. Now he walks and talks to you know what I mean? Like he's got a
Yeah.
different mentality of things.
Yeah.
And I thought Eddie Brock wasn't terrible. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
love the scene with the poles at the end and they were hitting the poles and he's like, oh,
Really good stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
the third act is really well done.
The third I'm talking about the third act a lot.
Yeah.
That's the most redeeming part of the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it is redeemable enough for me to put it as my number 6. For sure.
I like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I don't really got much more to say on it. That third act is, you know.
I'll say this: Spider-Man 3 is not next for me, so I can't speak on it too much. But
Cool
I
to see Gwen
do.
Stacy for the first time.
That was cool, and I thought the whole dynamic between Peter and MJ was interesting. Even though MJ is probably the most annoying character out of the entire Spider-Man franchise, in my opinion, I can't stand her. I think she's so annoying, but. I thought Venom was really crappy in this movie. That is one thing that kind of bothered me. Could you imagine Tom Hardy's Venom in this movie?
In
This
this
movie would be
yeah.
10 times better. Now, he wouldn't be able to
100%.
take on Sandman, that version of Venom, and, you know, the Neo Goblin or whatever. But it would have still been really cool to see.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I don't like. I actually really hated that they got the guy from that '70s show and was like, hey, here you go.
That's why I was saying Eddie Brock was mid. I
Yeah.
think it's more of Eddie Brock that I didn't like than Venom. And I mean, Venom wasn't great either. Like, you're totally right. Looking at Tom Hardy's Venom now, like, God, with the
It
people they
wasn't
had back
comic
then,
book. Yeah, it wasn't comic book.
God, yeah,
Venom.
no, definitely. He's just too much. He felt like a geek too. No offense. You know what I mean? He just seemed more jealous of Peter than like really what Eddie Brock embraces. So, but that's it for me on my number 6.
I feel it. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Oh, mine's 6 now. Is Across the Spider-Verse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, there you
Yeah.
go.
Everybody's like, "Oh, I hate you, man. I hate you."
We all hate you, Logan.
Yeah, once again, listen, it's pretty much everything. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I already kind of talked about it, obviously in the review, and then which, by the way, if you're watching
I
this on
get you.
YouTube after the fact, go watch watch our review on it. We dive really deep
Oh,
into
I
it,
wasn't
but
even there.
come on, man. But yeah, love this film. Think it's great. Think it's one of the best made Spider-Man movies for sure. But this is based off my interests, my entertainment, my perspective, what I enjoy.
Oh yeah.
And because of that, it lands at number 6 for me. It did everything that Into the Spider-Verse did, but better. I will say that. And I think it suffered from a little bit of the 2099 stuff and how they treated him as the villain. That still just pisses me off because there's so much potential there, and they just didn't go forward with
Well,
it. But
it's the
I
type
love
of
it.
thing you say. Watch what happens in the third. I bet
Yeah.
I think your opinion will change because I bet you they're gonna just make him so good in the third one. Like that's all I can think about right now. Because I agree with you. That's like the one big negative that leaves me sitting there. And I just feel like after you said that, you're like, watch what happens when the third one comes out. I've been thinking about it. I'm like, he's totally fucking right.
He probably will
Watch this
sacrifice
third one
himself.
come out.
That's
Yeah,
probably
like
what's gonna happen.
something. And then
Yeah.
if you were to watch it all together, then you'd be like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
what a fucking dope character development.
Mm-hmm.
But right now he's just dick.
Yeah, but still, what's weird is you're right. He is a dick, but he's like you
A
still
good
care
dick.
for him.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
what kind of movie are we
Yeah.
filming?
I don't know, man. Definitely not Across Spider-Verse. But no, yeah, it's definitely a great film. I'm not saying it's not a good movie, but it just once again, I'm more of a live action guy,
I
personally,
totally understand.
and it hurt to put it above the Amazing Spider-Man for me, but I gotta really respect how much fun I had in this theater. And
Yeah.
I gotta remember that because I almost viewed this movie not as a Spider-Man movie. I almost viewed it as like an animated movie. Does that make sense? And maybe
You know, it's
I don't know, man. Maybe that's what it was, and maybe
I have
I
a
don't know.
very similar ranking. That's very funny. Looking down at my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, that's my number 6.
6. My number 5. This is gonna be a controversial one. Don't hate me. Again, it falls victim to the homecoming thing. I have seen this movie. It's just when I think of all of these movies, for some reason, I can't think of it as much. I can only literally think of the end, and that is Spider-Man 2. Most people think this is the best Spider-Man movie. This is the big thing, right? The reason, and as you guys have already realized, Spider-Man is going to be higher. The big chopping block for me on this is I love Green Goblin so much. It's probably my favorite Spider-Man villain. It's him or Venom, but like, dude, I love Green Goblin. I think William Dafoe did perfect. I'm gonna get to that later, but with the Amazing Spider-Man 2, Doc Ock arguably, it's hard to argue because of how much I love William Dafoe's performance, but Doc Ock arguably had the best villain performance in any of the Spider-Man movies ever. And it's him or Green Goblin for me.
He's one of the best like
Just
Marvel
entities
villains.
I was
mean,
just like
he is
entities.
so good, dude.
Yeah, man.
So good.
And I love the dynamic shift between him and Harry and then him and MJ and everything.
Power of the sun in the palm of my hand. So
yeah, dude. I think they did this movie. What I can say about the first two and what I think people really love about the second one is he's so like it's comic book-esque, baby. You know what I mean? Like it is just so on the money. The scene at the end, it's like we see Spider-Man fighting the odds to save his girl, and then Doc Ock being consumed by his own creation that would have changed like you know what I mean? It's the true essence of a Spider-Man film. And like I said, it falls victim to that homecoming feel where I just haven't seen it in so long. And it's like I watched Spider-Man 1 so many times as a kid that it's just more memorable for me.
sure.
And but I highly respect the second Spider-Man. I know people say it's the best one. And yeah, I had to give it high regards, put it up at the number 5. Yeah, man, definitely one of the best Spider-Mans. And like I said, best villain. I think It was one of the best sequels that's ever happened. Not a lot of movies, especially a superhero movie, can make a good sequel. And I feel like that's one of those where it got better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think that's why people don't like the third one so much, because it's like you did so well with that second one, and then what happened with the third? Like, what the hell happened? You know? So yeah, that's all I'll say, because like I said, it's hard for me to remember too much, but that movie, man, it's a ringer. It's
It's a good
definitely
one.
fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 5 is No Way Home. I like No Way Home. I think it's good. I think it's a good movie. It's the best movie of all time. No, it's not. People overhype this movie just like they overhype everything because of recency bias. People have now over time said, like, finally we're like, oh, okay, it's not that great now that we've taken a step back and looked at it. And I had a little bit of recency bias when I first saw it, but I never would have put it at number 1 like everybody else. There's just no way. I think this is a great movie. I think it's awesome. I think it's a big step forward after Far From Home, because I cannot stand that movie. I think it was really, really well done. They brought everybody back. It was cool. It felt almost like a big, what do you call it? Like when you like do something for the fans. I
I get
the
what you were
word?
gonna say. I was
Fan,
gonna say the big cash cow type thing.
no,
They're really going for
fan.
it.
Can't think of it, but no, like they just did it for the fans, and it was a big cash grab for sure. It was a good way to
Sadly.
kind of bring in the multiverse and everybody wanting a Spider-Man 4 and everybody wanting an Amazing Spider-Man 3. They're like, hey, here's a way we can do that. And it really, really sucks that they couldn't keep it secret, because everybody knew Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were going to be in it as they walked in to the theater. But it was still a really cool time. I had a great time with it. It's hilarious. A very dark movie, and I really enjoyed that. And that's something that I feel like Spider-Man Homecoming was missing, was the darkness to it. And I feel like this movie had a lot of good scenes. One of my favorites is, and I think Aunt May's death was really well done, but I think one of the best aspects to it was the fight scene at the end with Green Goblin. And and it reminded me so much of that Spider-Man 1's fight scene, where there's no music. You just hear boom, boom, pop, boom, boom, boom. It's like, oh my God, dude. Like, people don't realize the absence of music in these types of scenes can just add so much more than music ever could.
It's a make or break, dude.
Yeah, and that's what happens in this scene when they're all sitting on that thing with the Statue of Liberty, and he's just beating the hell out of him, dude, throwing him up, and I was like, oh my God, you felt Tom Holland, and really, I guess not Tom Holland, but you felt Peter Parker growing as a character in that exact moment when he pulls back. And it's just, oh my God, dude. And I know you posted the behind the scenes of that today, that exact fight scene, but it's so well done. I thought it was great, dude.
It's one of my faves, bro. That movie
the
is
acting,
very hard for me.
I mean, William Dafoe's just smiling at him, and he's just bah, bah, bah. I was like, Jesus, dude. It was dope. And yeah, just I love the darkness to this film. That I'm a big fan of that when it comes to superhero movies. I don't mind a lighthearted film like Deadpool or stuff like that. Those types of movies that need stuff like that. But I love a good dark movie where Spider-Man is going through a lot of real life stuff. That's why we love Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's he's a relatable character. He's not one of these aliens that come down from space. Superman. You know what I mean? It's something new, and it's something that we can all relate to. And I think that's what makes him a great superhero, and why we love him. And that's why I love the Tobey Maguire movies so much. They captured the realness of Spider-Man more than anybody. Spider-Man is supposed to be this depressed, lonely guy. That's Spider-Man we all love. It's true. When Spider-Man's depressed, I'm happy. And that's what we finally get at the end of this movie when Tom Holland has to make, or Peter Parker has to make the decision. Number one, he loses his 2 new best friends he just made. Somebody that some people that finally understands him, right? And all the other Spider-Man are thinking the same exact way. But not just that, he has to make the decision of letting Ned and MJ go. And the fact that he loses MJ, he has nobody right now. And that's why I'm so...
Iron Man's gone.
Yes, and that's why, dude, I'm so excited for Spider-Man 4. But the fact that I heard that Miles Morales is most likely going to be in it pisses me off, dude, because I wanted a Spider-Man movie.
Don't take it away. Yeah, like don't take it away.
Give him his. This is the past, dude. The first trilogy, Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home, was literally just the origin story for Spider-Man. That's all it was. Yeah. It was the origin story. He's Spider-Man now. That entire time he was becoming Spider-Man, he is now Spider-Man. He is the Spider-Man that we know from the comic books. And you're going to ruin that with bringing in Miles Morales 10 years earlier than what you need to? If they do something like that, bro, I'm going to be mad. So I'm really, really, really happy with that aspect to it. I think with him swinging at the end, making his own suit, he's not relying on Tony Stark anymore, which is my biggest problem with the first two movies. He's finally Spider-Man, living in a crappy one-bedroom apartment, struggling to pay his rent. He's going to be a pizza guy. He's going to be a photographer. This is what we love to see.
Yes, sir.
And it's finally here, and I really hope Marvel doesn't ruin that. And I hope they get this production rolling. Really do. Yeah. But I love this movie. The last 20 minutes is some of my favorite sequences in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Love it. So good.
It's one of my favorite Marvel movies.
So good.
But number 4, it is the awesome and the amazing Spider-Man. It is a great movie. A lot of people hate on this movie a lot more than I think it really deserves. I truly at heart think as solely Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield captures it the best. I think when you see him in the suit, you just see the comics fly on the page. You know what I mean? I think, like you said, his swinging, his style, that scene where he's comedic in the suit, like it's Spider-Man. You know what I mean? He is Spider-Man. Peter Parker aside and the life aside, when you see him in that suit, you don't think Andrew Garfield. You think there's a man, Peter Parker, under that suit. And, I was a little thrown off the beginning with the cool skater vibe. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like Peter Parker. And I think that's a big thing that what I love about the second one that I think that is better than the first one, but it's like how we talk about, we need that second one to see the first. I love how he's more of a geek in the second one, but it's because like he's gone out of school. He's not like the cast shadow anymore. He's growing into a person that he can feel comfortable and safe around. You know what I mean? And especially being with Emma Stone, Gwen, you know what I mean? But in the first one, I truly, and I think, can't say it's my favorite Uncle Ben moment, but dude, his Uncle Ben moment is freaking sad, dude. It's hard to watch. And then I love the malicious vibe, similar to Toby, but the whole movie feels darker. So that darker moment felt darker. You know what I mean? It felt more like a manhunt. Whereas he hunted down, the guy from, what was it, like the paying thing, the wrestling thing, who he thought from the elevator. But this, where he was just chasing people down, checking for the tattoo, like he felt like Terminator. He felt like the hitman. And just as the movie went on, dude, Lizard is he's probably actually like top 5 Spider-Man villains I've seen on screen for me. I freaking love it, the performance so well. And that's another reason why when he came back in this No Way Home, I feel like they should have just done a little bit more, man. Like, he's such a cool
They did nothing with this character at all.
Nothing, dude.
Out of all of them, he was...
What the fuck?
Yeah. And that's another one of my biggest cons with No Way Home is there was no reason to bring back some of these guys.
If you're not going to do it, if they're not going to have to say a word. Yeah. He just, like, looked at people the whole time and growled. Like, it was just, come on.
Yeah.
But, dude, and I feel like this movie gets a lot of hate when, Andrew you can't hate the dude for getting put into this situation, None of us asked for a new Spider-Man, but that's what they did. You can't hate him for trying his best at something. And when I look back at it, like that ending shot where he slings it back and shoots, like, he always felt like the true Spider-Man to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and two things I wanted to say. Number one, I think that these movies do get a lot of that crap because of people want Toby.
Oh, and the dad. Sorry. I love that.
Yes. Yeah, the mom and dad storyline added so much. It didn't necessarily work too much for me. Mm-hmm. It you kind of went off. It was a little too
Gwen's
much.
Dad.
Oh,
that
yeah,
is also a cool storyline too.
Yes.
It was interesting.
Yeah, it added a little bit more to it. And then I think that the prototype suit, before he actually creates a suit, is the best prototype suit out of all the other movies. Don't get me wrong, I really like Tom Holland's. I really, really like Tom Holland's. But there's something about just the suit and then just the mask and the glasses over it. It just looks so clean.
Yeah, right. It's like
little
that's what
beanie or whatever.
feels realistic almost. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's probably what one of us. If I was Spider-Man, that's the first thing I'd probably do if I didn't have like a gimmick yet.
Yep.
Where I'm still making my costume, I throw some shades on.
A
But
little beanie over it. It was clean.
yeah.
I
But
digged it
no, and the last thing I'll
or
say
dug
is I
it.
really love the Gwen Stacy dad being the chief. You know, that was his chief moment, chief of
Yeah.
police losing him. And it was just it's I love the dynamic of like you're not the one for my daughter, but by the end of it he was like you were always the one for my daughter. I just couldn't let you know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, oh
Yeah.
God.
Crazy.
Good movie on number 4,
Just a
man.
little bit. Number 4, I got Spider-Man 3. I love this movie. It is probably like
Dude, you want to make
growing up.
like you want to fight people who just don't like this movie?
I don't get it. I get
Freaking
it.
losers,
I get
buddy.
it. I get it. But I love it. This movie. This was probably the Spider-Man movie I watched the most growing up because I thought it was so cool that there was like 4 different villains on screen,
Yeah.
and this everything about this movie is so nostalgic. Well, just the Tobey movies in general are nostalgic. I literally watched the trilogy backwards. I watched Spider-Man 3 growing up, crap ton. Kid next door was like, bro, you need to watch Spider-Man 2. I was like, I didn't even know there's another one. Okay, cool, let's watch it. Watch Spider-Man 2. Fell in love with Spider-Man 2. I didn't watch Spider-Man 1 until like 2015.
Wow.
And then I finally started watching it. Which is just 2016, 2015. It was way after. And yeah, I'm it's crazy to think about. We're gonna get to the other 2 movies here in a little bit, but I just love this movie because, like I said, it's probably the Spider-Man movie I've seen the most. I love a lot of things about it. I think the whole dynamic between all the characters is really well done. The emo Toby is so iconic. This movie in general is really memeable. Really
It's
memeable,
memeable.
bro. So
Yeah.
it's probably one of the most memeable movies of all time.
Yeah.
100%. Um, I thought James Franco. This is what was one of definitely his best performances in this trilogy. I thought it killed it. I thought the whole
Mhm.
thing with him becoming the what is it? It's not. It's like Neo Goblin or whatever. I think it's like Neo Goblin.
The
Was
Hobgoblin.
the Hobgoblin? Yeah, Hobgoblin was so well done, dude. And it was just love how he went about that. Thought that was really cool. The chase scenes were really well done.
Yeah,
The
bro.
web swinging gets better and better, obviously, because CGI is getting way better at this time and making huge leaps. I love the black suit.
May I ask, which film is it where he loses his spider powers for a bit? Is that the second?
Spider-Man 2.
Two. Yeah.
Spider-Man 2. Which is we'll get to that. We'll get to
I'm
that.
thinking. I just remember because everything you're saying,
Yeah.
and now I'm remembering the chase scene between the alleyways where he's swinging in
Yeah.
his like normal suit and clothes,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good one, dude.
Yeah, that was
It's
a good
bad
one.
Spider-Man 2. And yeah, this movie is just he's still dealing with the Doc Ock stuff and trying to think about what not trying to touch on stuff that you already talked about. Of course, just the soundtrack is incredible,
Oh
dude.
yeah, man.
The
Hey, I didn't even
Venom
talk about that.
symbiote, yeah, the symbiote soundtrack when he becomes the Black Spider-Man, the Black Spider-Man suit. Oh, dude, it's one of the most iconic soundtracks of all time and
Were you ever
scores.
scared as a kid when that scene was happening? Like when the symbiote was crawling, dude. I don't know why I was like a little pussy. When the symbiote was crawling on him, I was like,
No,
"Spider-Man,
the Sandman scene scared
get
me
up!"
when he falls into the thing.
Oh yeah,
That
okay,
terrified me. I was like, oh my god.
yeah.
Just because I just remember like being like, oh, dude, he's getting like tore up right now.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, so like that was a really interesting thing for me. What was another scary? Venom was scary. Looking back, he's just like the scrawny kid, but Venom was scary to me growing up. And then, like I said, that's my biggest con with this movie, dude. It's like Topher Grace, dude. I mean, he's a good actor, but it was not the right Venom. And I don't know
For the
what they were going
performance,
for
yeah.
here. They were going for a nerdy Venom, and if you can go for a nerdy Brock, that's fine. Go for a nerdy Eddie Brock. But when he changes into Venom, you got to make this dude big. There's not, from what I remember, there's not one Venom comic where he's
especially how
small.
Venom
There's just
is.
not.
There's not.
There's not.
There's not.
So make him big. And that's what I love that
There's
the new
not.
Venom did. By the way, the fact that the new Venom movies aren't rated R is kind of stupid. I think
It's
you
how
could
they
do so
ruined
much
Deadpool
more.
2.
Yep. Make it
Continue
rated
to
R.
ruins because you want to fucking, I don't know, play to the audience. That's so stupid.
Well, Deadpool 3 is going to be rated R, so.
Thank God.
Yes, sir.
Thank God.
But yeah, so Venom was crap. Movie overall isn't the best made. Pacing is horrible, but the writing's not great.
Pacing's a little wonky.
Very cheesy, but it holds a special place in my heart. I understand if people listen. Like, there's some movies that like I don't get how people don't like.
Mhm.
I understand why people hate this movie, but I love it. So screw you.
Screw you, losers. My
Let's
number
hear it,
three?
baby. We're top three.
Top three. And I said I was gonna be realistic and honest. And my number three is Across the Spider-Verse. It did it, man. It crossed my top three. Will I go out of my way and say it's the best Spider-Man movie of all time? No. Do I think it's even the best animated movie of all time? I don't know. It's maybe top five, top three, maybe top five. I'll say confidently more for me. Um, yeah, I mean, we have a whole hour on the other episode. If you want to go back again one more time, you can rewatch it a second time because I already know Logan said it, but go back one more time and watch what I said. Um, yeah, man, the characters are awesome. I enjoyed the animation a lot more than I did the first time. I don't know what it is. I know it's very similar, but I just felt like they introduced it to me better. I love the Spider-Mans. I love the cameos. I love the soundtrack. I just think it's a really good movie, and I agree with Logan. The last 20 minutes is little. It only just pulls you out because there's another one. If they shouldn't have just not set it up like that. Two-parters are just hard to have a solid third act in. You know what I mean? And it was just a little. You could tell it's definitely setting up for a second one, or it just felt weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, great movie, and it's done its work. It's one of my favorites I've seen, so that's all I got to say.
There you go. There you go.
There you go, man.
My number three is Spider-Man Homecoming.
Boom.
Spider-Man Homecoming, baby. Top three.
I need to watch
love
it, baby.
This
I need to
movie.
watch it.
It's crazy because, like, when I watch the movie, I see, like, it reminds me a lot of, like, the Halloween remake. All right? And trust me, these two are correlated. Every time I watch the Halloween remake, I love what I love about it even more, and I hate what I hate about it even more. And I feel like that's what it is when I watch Homecoming. Like, there's so many, and the good thing about that is the good outweighs the bad heavily in this movie. But it's like he relies so much on Tony Stark. He has the most techie suit I've ever seen in my life. He's a little crybaby for half the movie. Flash is like 5'4", 115. Like, stuff like that is what really bothers me.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going for here.
Maybe that's what kind of threw me off from watching it. I heard a lot of stuff like that. Like, it was like completely different and stuff.
Yeah.
In the clips I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a dumbed down, I don't say dumbed down, but like a more kid cartoonish. It's an MCU version of Spider-Man. That's what it is. It's an MC, yeah. It's a Disney MCU version of Spider-Man. That's what it is. But there's so many good things.
But they deliver they have so much to offer, you know.
Michael Keaton. One of the coolest plot twists I've ever seen. I saw this in theater. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
The soundtrack. The suit is awesome. The Washington, D.C. setting when he's climbing up the Washington Monument and doing the backflip. Dude,
I love that. And he saves people in the elevator.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that the same scene? Okay.
Yeah, and then, but you know what's funny though is like someone brought this up. It's like, he struggled to hold up an elevator while freaking like Tobey Maguire was stopping a full-on train and you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, he did have the boat. He did have the cruise ship in Homecoming that he holds together. I don't know if you ever seen that clip. He holds like a boat gets split in half and he's just holding the boat. But he caused that problem. He caused the issue. Tobey Maguire didn't cause the problem with the train. So it's like he's just a kid trying to figure everything out. But some really good moments in it. The I am Spider-Man moment where he's under the I'm sorry, I'm spoiling the whole movie for you. Where he's under the rubble and he's like picks up the rubble, you know what I mean, by himself and he's like, I am Spider-Man, and does it. Really cool moment.
I don't know if I've seen that clip, but I think I've seen the boat because I was like, have you ever done it with a bridge? No, right? I think it was just the boat because he was like he was swinging through and attaching it everywhere.
Yeah, just the boat, because Tobey Maguire.
I kind of remember.
Didn't Tobey Maguire hold up a Spider-Man 1 or 2 where he holds up the train and then The
Oh,
second one, or not train. Sorry, the little. I don't know. Anyway,
the wall or
yeah,
whatever.
no,
Yeah.
no,
No?
no. We're talking about two different things.
No?
But yeah, no, it's a beautiful film. And like I said, it's weird. Like looking back on it, man, I think of all the negatives, but then I think of all the positives. There's only a couple of movies that I feel this way about, and
Hmm.
Homecoming is one of them. It's just it's so weird because there's so many goods, but there's so many bads, and it's like Spider-Man's not supposed to be this kid that's mentored and given everything to by Iron Man, and it's pretty much an Iron Man movie. I don't know,
You make
but
such a good point. It's a great film, but it just doesn't feel like Spider-Man in a way.
it feels like Spider-Man a lot more than Far From Home. It still
Yeah.
feels like
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Spider-Man,
yeah.
but it feels like
But preconception of before seeing Far From Home, like
sure,
taking that with the idea out of the way.
yeah, yeah. You thought this didn't feel like Spider-Man, then you get the second one, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
this one wasn't actually too bad.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
appreciate it a little bit more. So I love Homecoming to death. It's such a good movie, and I think it was such a good entry into the Spider-Man
I need to go back and refresh.
franchise. Yeah,
I want to. I might do
click
that.
refresh a few times. Yes, sir. All right, let's hear number
All right.
two.
Number two. My number two. I was almost one of those people. It's No Way From Home. Or No Way Home. My bad. Dude, I freaking love this movie. I am one of those people. I don't care. The nostalgia of this movie hitting in the theater, bro. Like
Yeah,
it's the Infinity War feel. When I saw like Cap get Mjolnir, it's my favorite, like one of my favorite MC movies, just
yeah.
for that like scene alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the iconicness. We all knew they were coming through those portals when they did, but god damn, when I saw their face, it felt too good to see it. There's just something nostalgic about growing up with something like that and just seeing it all come back together one last time when like the odds just don't seem like it would have ever happened. Like being a little kid and seeing Andrew Garfield and hearing he's not getting his third one, it's canceled, and Tom Holland's being announced. Never in my life would I ever thought I'd see all three of them in a film. And there's
I
something
would
so
always tell
unique
people,
and
no,
special.
it's never gonna happen. People are like, oh, it's gonna happen. It can happen. I was like, bro, it's not
No,
happening, dude.
right?
Yeah.
And there's so something unique and special, and like I'm just such like a fangirl for all of them. You know what I mean? I have
Mm-hmm.
such a different taste for all of them. When I saw it, it was like I was the one that Peter like,
Yeah.
and yeah, I love how they do the villains. I think like Doc Ock brought his Doc Ock-esque back, and I loved how they
Yep.
even tried to make him a good guy because he's at heart he's one of those good people that had bad things happen to him. He couldn't help the Nero link kind of like
No.
fuck with his brain.
Yep.
Um, and so I love how they're able to like fix these guys and send them home. And that's like the topic of the movie because it's not Spider-Man, but that just it shows it's a new era of Spider-Man. There's all of them can learn something from each other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then just that last scene, bro, like you said, man, watching it felt like watching Toby again versus William Dafoe.
Yeah.
And then Toby being the one to come and save it. The one thing, and I will be straight up honest with it, because I didn't want it to happen, they should have killed him. Toby. When he got stabbed in the back. I don't know. Like I'm happy they did
It felt
too,
very
but
very unnecessary. I agree. They should have just not done it in general.
you're right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what they should have done best. It should have like maybe like he did it and maybe like Andrew grabs him or he's Spider-Man, so Spider Sense. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Whatever. Let's throw continuity out the window.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
incoming attack. Let's get shanked in the back.
I thought that was ridiculous. It's like they were like, oh, bro, let's just scare him real quick. Like, nah.
Yeah. And you know what I really love about this film? Last thing I'll say, because it's pretty much the last thing I have to say. I love the redemption of Andrew Garfield. This movie, I feel like, has completely like changed people's idea of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like I walked out of the theater, a lot of people were like, he was my favorite. I don't know if I'd go that far to say myself, and I'm not saying that's a bad take. I just, you know what I mean? I loved everybody's performance. But like people were leaving the theater like, dude, he was my favorite. Like I want to. Everyone was chanting Spider-Man. I'm the Amazing Spider-Man 3 over.
Well,
Any
they
other
weren't saying
sequel.
that after 2014. That's for sure.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, man, I just remember seeing all three of those, watching them put their masks on. You know, the idea that they were. Oh, I always hated that they took away the ability from it being in their body, like Toby had it. And when they're like, he was like, yeah, it just shoots from inside. They're like, no fucking way. And it's like funny because like they're not the type to gush over other people, but they're
Yeah.
like amazed. It's their own power, and they don't even have it. Like,
Yeah.
he's the Spider-Man.
And you know what's
He's the true
crazy?
one.
It's like
Yeah.
that, like in the comics, it's web shooters, but I love the idea of it actually being in his arm. Like
In
it's
his
just
arm,
cooler.
yeah.
And I don't know if it's Sam Raimi who came. I don't know who came up with that idea for the 2002 one, but it worked great.
Because, like, you know what I always saw? Like, what is his power? They can just, like, climb on walls?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
What is it? What the hell is his power then? He's a normal dude. Spidey senses?
Yep.
Come on, the swing.
That's
swing.
what I'm saying.
But
just swing a little bit, man.
My swing.
No, it's a good one. It's a good one. Good
What's
stuff,
your number
man.
2, man? What's your freaking number?
You can just talk about your number 1. I have Spider-Man. 2002. Spider-Man.
It is my number 1.
2002. But by the way, we need to get you some merch that says "I freaking love this movie, dude," because you say that every single time, and it's so great.
I freaking love this.
I freaking love this movie, dude.
Yeah, dude. That'll be my merch.
But I kind of wish I had like a quote like that. I would say all the time, man. People are asking me to make merch. I don't know what to make. But anyway,
Pause.
Spider-Man.
Pause with a period.
Oh, there you go. Spider-Man 2002, just a great entry. Like I said, this is the last out of the main trilogy that I actually saw. And love it. It's a great introduction, great origin story. It's cheesy. It's dated already. But the suit, the score, the orchestra. Bro, we talked about this. Remember how I said, what movie was it we were talking about? It's like a couple weeks ago. I remember telling you I'm not a big orchestra guy. I don't like usually like
we were talking for the Patreon.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, it was the Patreon. Patreon.
Go watch the Patreon.
Go
with
to
the
a
movie
Patreon,
review.
baby. Yeah, The Omen. Yeah,
The
and
Omen.
I'm not a big orchestra soundtrack guy with anything. This is incredible. I mean, it has that Spider-Man vibe. Like, dude, I don't know about you. Every time I hear that theme song, like I float.
I will argue it every day of the week. I don't care. I even said it straight up. I don't think Tobey's the best straight Spider-Man, but it is the perfect Spider-Man movie. Like, when I think of it, the score, the characters, everything is taken straight from the fucking comic book and, like, put on my face. You know what I mean? Pause.
Yeah.
I love Tobey Maguire in this role. I think he's awesome. I feel like he looked a little older, but who cares, man? I like that. It's Spider-Man. I love the score. I'm so glad you mentioned the score because that's one of the best. Seeing somebody swing through the cities for the first time ever. We've never seen that on this capacity before. The dynamic between him and Goblin, it's Goblin, but he doesn't know it's Goblin. You're waiting to find out. I love the burning scene where the bombs start going off the parade and stuff. And then when he has to go save the baby inside and Goblin's there. And then, just like you said, man, that final scene where it's just silence and you hear the fighting. And then he gets a Spidey signal and jumps over and he takes himself out. And that's where Harry hates him ever since. You know what I mean? And it's like, truly, he wanted the best.
Yeah. I feel it.
Like you said, it's dated, but I have no negatives.
No. Yeah. The only big negatives I have with this movie is that it is dated and it's very cheesy, and that's why it's not number 1. Because my number 1 is a movie that is not dated, and it's crazy because it only came out two years later. But I love this movie to death. I think the origin story is probably one of the weakest, like the whole, like him becoming Spider-Man. I feel like Ben dying, Uncle Ben dying, is the best version of that for sure because the face of is so iconic. Yeah. And then I feel like this Uncle Ben's the coolest Uncle Ben. I don't know why. I always really liked him. He always seemed like so chill.
He was the most that made. When I ever heard "with great power came great responsibility," I always think of him. Uncle Ben.
Yeah,
like he's the one that said it. Yeah.
Yep. And that Aunt May, dude. That Aunt May is so cool. I love her.
There's something about they're elderly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's grown up with them. He's not a kid. He's a struggling adult who doesn't have a real job. He's a superhero. Nobody knows it. Like, oh man, I could rant. Yeah, I could rant, dude. Yeah. Toby's got it, dog. Fuck
no, no, it's great. I love it, dude. It's a great film. Like you said, the final act in general is beautiful, dude. The no music at all. You just hear pop, 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 pop.
It's so good.
And then just tell Harry I love him, and then man, some crazy stuff, man. That's wild, but no, it's a really good film. I agree with you, dude. It's one of my favorites of all time. Just very dated. The stuff that takes place at that festival where he's flying through the sky, and then you see James Franco and all them are sitting on like the little patio, and then it starts to fall. It's like stuff like that. Like it's just like it is very, very dated.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that gets me with this movie, but you can't really fault it for that too much.
Yeah.
That's why it's not number one. Number one for me is Spider-Man 2, 2004. By the way, the year I was born, so you gotta love that. Maybe that's why I love it so much.
There you go, baby. Wait, hey man, like I told you, dude, most people say it's the best one. There's something about Goblin, baby.
I'm trying to see when it was released. June 30th, 2004. I was born July 17th. So it was born just a little bit before, or it came out a little bit before I was born.
Almost
That's
like
funny.
2-3 weeks.
Yeah. So right there, I have a connection with it, man. There's something about me in 2004 movies. I love movies that came out in 2004. I guess because I was born that year. Polar Express. Yeah. It was a good year for movies.
Yo,
such a good year. Polar Express. But no, anyway, we're talking about Spider-Man, man. This movie is everything you want in Spider-Man. Depressed on his own. Lonely, struggling with jobs, going through this period where he doesn't have his powers, which is funny that they mentioned it, and they call it a web blocker or whatever that they talked about in No Way Home. And it's just he doesn't know what to do with his life, and he's so lost. And this movie's so nostalgic. He's balancing paying the rent. He's balancing having this trying to build this relationship with MJ and struggling with it. It's executed so well, dude, and it's one of the coolest villains of all time in Doc Ock, and the pacing is beautiful, the writing is beautiful. This movie holds up better today than Spider-Man 3, which makes no sense because it came out 3 years before. This movie is everything you want, and I'm surprised it hasn't aged terribly because there's so much CGI in it and so much good stuff in it. But it's executed so well. And just the whole origin story, like you said, of Doc Ock, the whole final fight scene where he, goes into the water. It's so
There's
well
something
done.
about characters like that for me that aren't truly bad at heart. It's like because you have to feel for them because you see in a world where it's like they were so fucked over that's what ended up happening. Like, you can just imagine if they were put in better position in better places. Like, he would have never ended up like that. And it's like, damn, man.
He was just a scientist wanting
so much better.
Yeah, just scientists wanting to make something happen.
Yeah, and then his thing with not Harry, but what's Harry's dad's name? What's his actual name?
Well, William Dafoe, but his character's name is Norman. Him
and Norman's connection, like, I love that, man. You know what I mean?
Seeing the like the hallucinations of the dad, and then Harry and Peter's relationship in this movie, which I love so much. Peter being like, "Oh, dude, I don't." Harry's want to kill Spider-Man. You know what I mean? He hates Spider-Man, and Peter's like, "Dude, this is just so awkward for me," and I love that dynamic. Just overall, man, I mean, seeing Aunt May deal with the death of Uncle Ben, like, it's just, there's so many aspects to this movie that make it so realistic and relatable for everybody. And the only thing this movie is missing is a little more humor when it comes to Spider-Man's character. But it's a pretty dark movie, so might have not fit very well. So the bank robbing scene, James Jonah Jameson, it just give it to me.
Dude, we haven't mentioned him once.
Not once.
J.K. Simmons is the god.
Yeah, he is.
God for playing.
So
dude,
good.
I'm so glad they brought him back. No Way Home. You could not put anyone else in that spot.
Spider-Man is a menace. Yeah, it's so good.
Spider-Man.
It's so good, dude. I love it. But yeah, overall, I love this film. The soundtrack is incredible. It's come on now, bro. It's so good. Sam Raimi does it again, dude, with some of the best visuals in the game. I love it. So there we go. That's our ranking, baby.
That would be it, baby.
I'm going to go ahead and read out mine real quick, Brayden. You can read yours. I'm going to start from my least favorite to favorite. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Into the Spider-Verse, Far From Home, The Amazing Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse, No Way Home, Spider-Man 3, and my top 3 is Homecoming, Spider-Man, and my number 1 is Spider-Man 2.
My number 10, we got The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Then we jumped down to Spider-Man Homecoming. let me watch it. Maybe I'll re-update it. We have the third installment coming next year, so
Yeah.
we'll probably do an update.
Every ranking. Yeah, yeah.
So, at number 8, we got Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, then Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man in the top 3. We got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, number 2, Spider-Man No Way Home, and then number 1, the motherfucking classic, Spider-Man.
Yes, sir.